Parsnip, Parsnip, and Parsnip once again. What's up, 23% Nation? This is your man, Coach D. Today, I'm back with vegetable of the day, the one and only parsnip. So, maybe you think a parsnip is simply a white carrot. Maybe you love them, maybe you hate them, maybe you think it's only a root vegetable. Maybe you think the top is inedible. Well, whatever the case may be, please listen and watch on. Why? Because we're about to dive just a little deeper into the wonderful world of the parsnip. All right, first up, a little bit of background information. 23% Nation, I know a lot of you want to know, Coach D, what in the world is a parsnip? I mean, really, I've never even heard of the word before, right? Well, guys, here we go. It's not a white carrot, even though it looks a lot like one. All right, so let's just get that clear. Parsnips are not white carrots. Parsnips may be root vegetables in the carrot parsley family, but they're a separate species. They have a nuttier taste and typically a larger size than carrots, and parsnip nutrition does differ from carrot nutrition. Now, in case you are looking to compare the sizes of a parsnip versus a carrot, right? Just take a look at the picture. You can clearly see that there is a color difference and also a size difference. That's right. So there we have it, guys. A little bit of background information about the one and only parsnip. All right, more background information. Parsnips have a pale yellow, creamy, or ivory skin with a shape that can be described as a more bulbous or or top heavy carrot. So once again, if we're looking to see the differences in appearance, here we have it, guys. Parsnips are white, they're a little longer, and the top is a little more bulbous, or we can say round, or we can just use a very basic word and just say bigger. All right, so there we have it. More background information about parsnips. Okay, more background information. Now, a lot of us probably want to know, what is a wild parsnip and how does it differ from other parsnips, right? Here we go. A wild parsnip is an invasive Eurasian weed with an edible root. Interesting. However, its leaves, stems, and flowers contain toxic sap that can cause severe burns. Oh no. It's a much safer bet to purchase your parsnips root only from your local farmer's market or grocery store in order to take advantage of the parsnip nutrition. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you are at all interested in knowing what the flowers of the wild parsnip actually look like, well, just take a look at the picture. As you can see, it's yellow, small flowers, right? So the next time you are out and about in some field and you see these beautiful, small, yellow flowers, it may be wild parsnips, and it would behoove of you to stay clear, okay? Even though the root is edible, the leaves, the stems, and every other part except for the root is toxic. So there we have it, guys. We now know the difference between a regular parsnip and a wild parsnip. All right, now it's time for a few fun facts. Now, this is for those of us who like to cook, right? So we may want to know, how do I cook parsnips, Coach D? All right, here's the answer. Before using a parsnip, you should peel it and cut off the top and bottom just like a carrot. You can chop it up however you prefer. When it comes to how to cook parsnips, you have a lot of different options. They can be cooked and used somewhat similarly to carrots. That's right. Parsnips can be eaten raw, but they're sweeter and nuttier when cooked. Nice. They can be baked, roasted, boiled, or even steamed. Once cooked, you can also puree parsnips into a mash similar to mashed potatoes. So this now brings up an interesting little note. Ladies and gentlemen, the next time you're out at a restaurant and you ask for mashed potatoes, make sure it's potatoes and not mashed parsnips, right? So just simply ask the waiter or waitress or maybe the chef, why not? So there we have it, guys. We now know exactly how to cook our parsnips. All right, now it's time for the not so fun facts. Wild parsnips have an edible root, and we've already discussed this, but their leaves and stems are highly toxic. That's why wild parsnip is also called poison parsnip. Wow, who knew? Wild parsnip produces a sap that contains chemicals that can cause human skin to react to sunlight, resulting in intense burns, rashes, or blisters. Now, this is a special condition, and it happens to be called Phytophoto Dermatitis. Wow, that's a mouthful. Now, guys, if you are at all interested in finding out what Phytophoto Dermatitis looks like, well, take a look at the picture. Unfortunately, this person, man or woman, doesn't really matter. Well, it looks like they had a pretty rough encounter with some wild parsnips. And as you can see, there are intense burns and blisters and a rash, right? So as I mentioned earlier, if you see wild parsnip in some type of field, please don't touch it. If anything, walk in the opposite direction. So there we have it, guys. The not so fun facts about the one and only parsnip. Okay, more not so fun facts. Yes, it's possible to be allergic to parsnips. If you display any food allergy symptoms after consuming parsnips, discontinue consumption and seek medical attention if necessary. Now, yes, it is unfortunate that food allergies do exist, okay? And it's even more unfortunate that these food allergies come directly from plant foods, which is what I'm preaching, right? So guys, here's what I would like to suggest is that if you notice that you don't feel well, or maybe you start breaking out in a rash or hives, or maybe your throat begins to close up after eating certain foods, in particular parsnips, then my first suggestion is to always reduce your consumption, right? If reducing doesn't work, then of course you want to discontinue, and at the same time seek medical attention, especially if you love parsnips or whichever plant foods cause any type of adverse reactions. So there we have it, guys. More not so fun facts about the one and only parsnip. Okay, more not so fun facts. Wow. If you're not used to eating fiber-rich foods, adding parsnips to your diet may result in gas, bloating, and cramps. At first, due to their fiber content. Now, guys, here's what you have to remember is that yes, most plant foods, if not all, are loaded with good old beneficial fiber. However, if you are new to plant foods, right, maybe you are still heavily involved with the standard American diet, which is completely absent of fiber, then yes, it's going to take your body a little while to get used to fiber-rich foods, i.e. plant foods, i.e. parsnips, right? So do yourself a favor. Introduce plant foods slowly. That way, the gas, the bloating, and maybe even the cramps, well, they may not be so intense, right? So there we have it, guys. More not so fun facts about the one and only parsnip. Okay, it's now time for the 520 rule. Ladies and gentlemen, the 520 rule is all about food labels. Yes, it helps us to read and understand food labels. Ultimately, it's a guide. It's a guide that lets us know whether or not a food or beverage item is a good source or not a good source of any particular nutrient. Now, when we talk about the 520 rule, specifically, we're talking about percent daily value, abbreviated percent DV. Now at this time, let's shift our focus over to our sample food label, which you can clearly see is divided into three main parts: purple, yellow, and blue. So let's go part by part by part. So first up is the percent daily value column, which is the purple colored portion, right? Now percent DV is basically represented as a percentage, and it runs the whole scale of 0% up to 100%. Now there are some very rare cases where a particular food item, in this case a particular plant food item, may be in excess of 100%, but once again, that's very, very rare. Now, let's take a look at the yellow part, which basically highlights a few nutrients, such as saturated fat, trans fat, cholesterol, and sodium. Now, these nutrients are very important. Why? Because unfortunately, they do cause a lot of sickness, illness, and disease. So the next time you eat or drink something, you may want to make sure that the percent DV for each of those nutrients is as close to 0% as possible. Guys, that's why it says limit these nutrients. Next, moving on to the blue nutrients such as dietary fiber, vitamin A, vitamin C, calcium, and iron. Well, here's the good news. These nutrients do just the opposite of the yellow nutrients. Rather than promote sickness, illness, and disease, they promote wellness and health within the body temple. So the next time you eat or drink something, you may want to make sure that those percent DVs are as close to 100% as possible. Now, generally speaking, when we talk about the 520 rule, we can simply say that 5% or less is low versus 20% or more is high. Now, that for me, for you, is way too general. So here's what I would like to offer. If a food or beverage item offers anywhere from 0% to 9% DV, then that food or beverage item is not a good source of that particular nutrient. Next, if a food or beverage item offers 10% to 19% DV of any nutrient, then that food or beverage item is considered a good source of that particular nutrient. Lastly, if a food or beverage item offers 20% DV or greater, then that food or beverage item is an excellent source of that particular nutrient. So there we have it, guys. The ins and outs about the 520 rule. All right, now that we've covered the 520 rule and have a basic understanding, let's now dive into the nutrition facts of the one and only parsnip. So guys, for today's lecture, we're going to say that a single serving of parsnips is equal to a half cup of cooked parsnip slices, no doubt. So in a single serving, which once again is half a cup, not a whole cup, but half a cup, we're going to get 55 calories, 13.3 grams of carbs. Look at this, 1 gram of good old plant protein. Now, let's remember something, that plant protein is very, very beneficial. Why? Because it's going to help us synthesize lean, mean muscle tissue. It's going to help us grow a little bit of hair, and it's going to help strengthen our immune system. That's right. Next up, it offers 2.8 grams of good old fiber. Now, if you've been following Coach D for a while, you already know that fiber is what I like to call nature's plumber. That's right. It keeps your tubes clean, particularly your blood vessels and your colon. That's right, guys. So please eat more fiber. Next up is vitamin C coming in at 17% DV, good source. Folate coming in at 11% DV, good source. Manganese coming in at 11% DV, good source. Then we have potassium coming in at only 8% DV, not a good source. Magnesium coming in at only 6% DV, not a good source. Next up is pantothenic acid, which by the way is one of our B vitamins. Comes in at only 5% DV, not a good source. Next up is phosphorus and copper, each coming in at only 5% DV, not a good source. Then we have vitamin E, vitamin B6, and thiamine, each coming in at only 4% DV, not a good source. Next is niacin, calcium, and iron, all coming in at only 3% DV. And lastly is selenium, which by the way is a mineral, coming in at only 2% DV, so not a good source. Now, a lot of you may say, well, Coach D, yes, it offers a great variety of nutrients, but most of them are not a good source. Well, let's remember something. This is only a single serving, which is only half a cup. That's right. So if you see a nutrient and you want more of it, all you have to do is eat another serving, which in this case would be another half cup, or we can say 1 whole cup. So there we have it, guys, the nutrition facts about the one and only parsnips. All right, now that we've talked about the nutrition facts, let's now dive into the health benefits. But before we do, I want to offer you something rather special. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the principle of cause and effect, which basically states that every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause. There really is no such thing as chance and or luck. In other words, everything happens for a reason. That being said, I want to let you know that if you are healthy, well, guess what? You caused it. Versus if you have a disease, well, chances are, yes, you caused that as well. So for those of us who want to become even more healthy, well, ladies and gentlemen, 23% nation, we have to cause it. We have to be able to put the right things in our bodies. All right. So not only am I going to give you the health benefits, but more importantly, I'm going to give you the cause, or shall we say the phytonutrients, or we can use the word medicines. So health benefit number 1 is that parsnips boost eye health. Isn't that amazing? Now, the reason why is because parsnips contain vitamin C. Health benefit number 2, improves digestive function and prevents constipation. How nice is that? So, what's the phytonutrient that's responsible? Well, say hello to fiber. Benefit number 3, can help prevent birth defects and gum disease. Nice. So the question is, which medicine, which phytonutrient causes this? Well, say hello to folate. Benefit number 4, helps heart health. Great. So, which phytonutrients are responsible? Well, say hello to fiber, vitamin C, and good old folate. And health benefit number 5 is that it supports enzyme production and bone health. So, which phytonutrient, which medicine is responsible? Well, say hello to manganese. So there we have it, guys. 5 amazing health benefits from the one and only parsnip. All right, it's now time to talk about food, in particular plant foods. So, as usual, I went to my go-to website for everything vegan. So say hello to forksOverKnives.com. By the way, there is a movie entitled Forks Over Knives, which I highly suggest you watch with a friend or family members. So, as usual, I went to the website, did just a little bit of research on parsnips, and I came across 2 amazing plant-based parsnip recipes that I want to share with you right now. So the first one is entitled Lentil Shepherd's Pie with Rustic Parsnip Crust. Take a look at the picture. Looks delicious, yes. Now, the second recipe is Cauliflower and White Bean Soup. Looks delicious, yes. Now, do me a favor, guys. If your mouth is watering and you are intrigued by one, if not both of these recipes, then go ahead and click on the description box. Why? Because I'm providing you with a direct link to each recipe. That's right. So do this. Click on the description box, click on the link, make the dish, taste the dish, come back to the video and share your thoughts. So there we have it, guys. Not one, but two amazingly delicious vegan parsnip recipes from forksOverKnives.com. All right, 23% Nation, I hear you. A lot of you say, well, Coach D, thanks for the fun facts, thanks for the not so fun facts, and even the nutrition facts. But what I really want to know is, when should I eat more parsnips? Well, ladies and gentlemen, if that is your question, then I got to tell you that the perfect day to eat more parsnips is Nature Day. What? Nature Day? Oh, yes, good old Nature Day. So here's what we need to know about Nature Day. Actually, there's a lot that we need to know about Nature Day. So let's go ahead and dive just a little deeper. Nature Day happens to be the first day of the 23% challenge, which, by the way, is a monthly 7-day wellness program that is designed to help improve your health, your wealth, and your relationships. Oh, and it also helps to save good old planet Earth. Now, as I just mentioned, the 23% challenge is monthly, meaning every month, January through December, and it's 7 days. As a matter of fact, not any 7 days, it's the first 7 days of every single month, the first all the way through the 7th. Now, here's what we need to know, is that being that the 23% challenge is the first 7 days of every month, and being that Nature Day is the first day of the challenge, that simply means that Nature Day is the first day of every month. That's right. So whether it's October 1st, November 1st, or even December 1st, it's always Nature Day. Now, some of us are intrigued. Some of us are interested. We want to know, all right, Coach D, what in the world is Nature Day all about? Well, guys, if I have to make it simple for you, which I will, Nature Day is all about eating more plants and drinking more water. So here's what I've discovered, is that eating more plants for some people is very easy. However, for others, it can be extremely difficult, especially if you are addicted to the standard American diet. That being said, if you want to try out Nature Day, then I'm going to give you a few options. Hopefully you'll be successful. So for those of us who think it's very difficult, right, you may want to try the baby step program, meaning you can eat only plant foods and drink only water before 12 p.m. That way, after 12 p.m., you can eat and drink whatever you want. Now, if before 12 p.m. doesn't work for you, then what about after 12 p.m.? That way, before 12 p.m., you can eat and drink whatever you want, right? Now, for those of us who think 12 hours is not enough, I agree. You may want to step it up just a little bit and try to become a 3% vegan. Now, that's any person, man, woman, or child, who only eats plant foods and drinks only water only 1 day out of an entire month. Next up is a 10% vegan. That's any person, man, woman, or child, who only eats plant foods and drinks only water only 3 days out of an entire month. Next up is a 17% vegan. That's any person, man, woman, or child, who only eats plant foods and drinks only water only 5 days out of an entire month. And lastly is the ultimate 23% vegan. Now that's any person, man, woman, or child, myself included, that only eats plant foods and drinks only water the first 7 days of every single month. Now, a lot of people may say, all right, Coach D, you claim to be a 23% vegan, so what does that mean? What do you eat, right? Well, guys, what it means is that I only eat from the 5 food groups of plant foods, which happen to be fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, legumes, meaning beans and peas, and let's not forget about good old whole grains. So there we have it, guys. We now know what Nature Day is all about. Okay, now still talking about Nature Day, a lot of you probably are even more interested, but you have one remaining question, and that is Nature Day for me? Right? I mean, after all, who is Nature Day really for, Coach D? Well, guys, maybe you have some type of physical ailments. Maybe you have some type of mental ailments. And right now, maybe you're looking for a natural, holistic approach to your healing. So let's talk about it. Maybe you've been stricken with the big four, meaning heart disease, obesity, cancer, and diabetes. Maybe you have skin issues such as eczema, whiteheads, blackheads, psoriasis. Maybe you have digestive issues such as constipation, irritable bowel syndrome, or leaky gut syndrome. Or maybe you have mental issues such as bipolar. Maybe you're depressed. Maybe you're sad all the time, or maybe you're pissed off and angry all the time. Well, guys, it's easy. Eat more plants. Maybe you want to change your body composition, right? Maybe you want to lose a little bit of inches from your hips and your waist. You may want to try our vegan lean program, or maybe you want to put on some lean, mean muscle tissue. You may want to try our vegan bulk program, or maybe you're just completely over the standard American diet and you want to transition to a more whole food plant-based diet. Guys, it's easy. Eat more plants. Participate in Nature Day. So now we know exactly who Nature Day is for. All right, it's time for Coach D's tips. Now, the reason why I'm offering help, advice, assistance is because I want your Nature Day to be successful. So tip number 1, go to your local grocery store. Now, when you get there, you're going to go to one of 3 places. Number 1 is the produce section. Number 2 is the freezer aisle. And number 3 is the canned good aisle. Now, a lot of people may ask, Coach D, what's best, fresh, frozen, or canned? Well, I'll put them in order this way. Number 1 is going to be fresh. Number 2 is going to be frozen. And number 3, dead last, is going to be canned. Now, the reason why I put canned foods, but particularly canned plant foods, in dead last is simply for this one reason. The canning process is part of the processing process. And what's very unfortunate is that during this canning process, a lot of the nutrients in the plant foods are completely deactivated, completely destroyed. And a lot of toxins are added to the foods. So the next time you open up a can and eat the contents, you may end up eating more toxins than you are nutrients. Tip number 2, go visit the prepared dishes section of your local grocery store. So once you're done with the produce section, the freezer aisle, and the canned good aisle, right, walk on over to the prepared dishes section. Now, this is where you're going to see a person standing behind a glass counter, and inside of the counter, you're going to find and see all types of prepared dishes. Normally, they're going to be sold by the pound. Now, simply walk over to the attendant and ask them if they have any plant-based or vegan options. If you're not familiar with it, don't worry. Ask for a sample. Don't worry, it's free. Okay? Now, if you like it, go ahead and purchase it by the pound, or maybe you're having a dinner party. Go ahead and get 2, maybe even 3 pounds. Tip number 3, go visit your local farmer's market. Now, guys, farmers markets are amazing. Why? Because they primarily cater to the organic, non-GMO market. That's right. So if you're the type of person who has to have organic this and organic that, then yes, farmers markets are definitely the place to be. Now, here's another advantage to shopping at a farmer's market, is that it is possible that the prices may be lower than your local grocery store. Why? Well, because the food is grown locally by local farmers. That's right. Excuse me. Tip number 4, go visit your local vegan restaurant. Now, the reason why I suggest eating at a vegan restaurant is because they do a really good job at hiring vegan chefs who not only know how to cook plant foods, but they also know which plant foods to combine to yield the most nutritious, delicious dishes. And lastly, get a subscription to a vegan meal prep company. Now, I highly suggest this for those of us who don't have time to cook plant foods, for those of us who don't know how to cook plant foods. I say Let the experts do the cooking for you. So here's how it goes. Give them a call. Get the subscription. They make the food. They deliver the food. You eat the food. Yes, it's just that simple. So there we have it, guys. 5 amazing tips to help make your nature day successful. All right. It's time for our question of the day, which comes from yours truly and the rest of the 23% nation. We have inquiry minds. So today we have a fill in the blank question for you. A wild parsnip is also called a poison blank. Now, I believe I covered this information earlier in the lecture, so hopefully you got it. If you didn't, or maybe you just simply tuned Coach D out, well, hit rewind. And please write your answer in the comment box below. Guys, I want to thank you for watching. I definitely want to thank you for listening. As always, let's eat well, feel well, think well, do well, be well. This is your man, Coach D. I'm signing out, but before I do, I gotta ask you to please subscribe, share, comment, and like the video, especially if you love parsnips. And don't forget to use our 3-word mantra. It's hashtag eat more plants. As stated earlier, my name is Coach D. I'm signing out. Always remember to take care, God bless, and never ever forget that Coach D loves you.